So I'm going to talk about Google Cloud Functions. If you guys remember about AWS Lambda, this is the equivalent of that one. So one thing that you need to always remember about this cloud functions, is it's always event-driven. Serverless compute platform. Okay, we start off with that. So the agenda is, what is Google Cloud Functions? What are the supported programming languages? The HTTP frameworks, a sample use case, and how do we secure it? So what is Google Cloud Functions? Again, it's a serverless execution environment. Function is triggered when an event being watched is fired. Code executes in a fully managed environment, meaning you don't really have to do a lot of stuff to have it up and running, and no need to provision any infrastructure, okay, or manage any server. So supported programming language, we all know JavaScript. It's very flexible right now. It can now do backend with Node.js. Basically, Node.js is a language that you execute JavaScript in your outside of the browser. And Python, very flexible code readability and hates semicolons. And Go, it's not as fast as C, but it's better than most programming language in terms of performance. That's why a lot of companies are now shifting to Go. It's a cute gopher, and it loves semicolons. Okay.
I remember about the time that
yeah. So I was surprised too, because I was checking their documentation, and they just have like 3 languages compared to AWS Lambda, and I think almost all they can run, right? So that's only what they have right now. Oh, okay.
Would you repeat Kevin's statement? I could not hear what he.
So I just asked him, like, from what we know now is AWS Lambda can already support a lot of languages, and because it's just based on the runtime, right? So he just said that, yes, he just confirmed that. And I just said, like, this is just based on Google's documentation, and I was surprised that it was just 3 languages that were supported: Node.js, Python, and the cute gopher. Question?
Anybody use the Go?
The one that I know, Concur uses Go. Like my friend is now using Go. They're using it because of performance.
Oh, okay.
But with him being an experienced software developer, he's just not used to it, like having this kind of language with semicolon.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of a weird mixture. It tries to have the code readability of Python, but has the semicolon in a way. You were about to say?
Yeah. Just a different is very lucky pretty good Java and .NET function. So really slow turn off the code stack. So if the performance helpful, nobody will use it. Maybe that's.
Yeah, so what Kevin said is maybe because these 3 are better in performance, and you have more of a use case to do Google Cloud Functions instead of using the other programming language that has slower runtimes, right? Okay.
That's a for serverless computing.
For serverless computing. So that's what his thoughts are. So frameworks. So basically, we need frameworks, not only the languages. So Node.js basically use the Express.js framework. The logo is kind of disappointing. That's their logo. Basically, it's an open source software, and it's designed for building web applications and APIs. Okay, Python, Flask. Before I always thought that Flask looks like a chili, but when you think about it, Flask is like the Flask, the bottle, when you're like in the desert and you're thirsty. That's a Flask. And then that's why they say it's Flask, because you can have just like small droplets. That's why it has like web development 1 drop at a time. So it means that it's a micro web framework written in Python. It has no database abstraction layer, form validation, or any other components where pre-existing third-party libraries provide common functions. Okay, so for Go, it has its own library. So that's it. So a sample use case that you can use Google Cloud Functions, because we're talking about it's event-driven. It can trigger whenever there's an event that is fired. I mean, an event that you're monitoring. So here's a sample use case. Let's say you want a notification for your Google Cloud Platform budget, and whenever it sends an alarm, you can use the Google Cloud Pub Sub, and then it will now send to the Google Cloud Functions. And Google Cloud Functions will now, if you had that logic to enable, hey, can you execute this and send notification to Slack? So it will better inform the team that, hey, we're going over the budget on our resources, or let's say there's issues, there's bugs. So now you can use that, and end users could also interact with Slack, because Slack is just a persistent chat. Okay. Another use case looks the same, but basically now we're using SendGrid. SendGrid is another API that you can put in your applications to easily send notifications or email configured. This is just a sample use case. It's part of like their tutorial.
No, I mean that API, the SendGrid, is part of Google Cloud.
That one, I don't know if it's part of Google Cloud, but I've used it. I just don't know if it's part of Google Cloud. I have to look more. And then I've tried to, because we're always talking about security, so I just checked like some of the ways you can secure your Google Cloud Functions. The easiest way is basically create a hard-to-guess function name, like that one, so people can just keep hitting the, let's say, oh, this is Clark function. It's so easy to search for it and execute it. Next, basically, JWT token. So JWT token is a JSON web token. It's usually used to securely transfer information between two parties. So usually you would use JWT token as a decorator, meaning above your classes. So you would have authentication before it executes that action or that class. It comes in two forms, serialized and deserialized. Serialized just means that it will encrypt and give that form. And deserialized if you want to edit. So you open that JSON web token and put your, let's say, API keys or authentication, things like that. And if you encrypt it again, it will become serialized again. So Google Stackdriver, it's not from Google. Stackdriver is a different platform. It just has like, Google just have a managed service of Stackdriver. So Stackdriver will help you monitor your what's happening in your Google Cloud Functions. They also support AWS. And then there's another way you use Google Cloud Platform plus Function Shield. Basically, Function Shield would enable you to disable outbound internet connectivity, disable read or write, disable child process execution, disable read access to functions handler, and prevent code leakage. So this one, if you want an easy way setup, and the next slide will show you an easy configuration that you can just like, hey, block my read write. Hey, alert if there's create child process. And if there's like outbound connectivity, hey, alert that one. So you can easily configure that in that way. And here's just a sample of what it looks like when you're doing logging security with Stackdriver. And basically, you would see a list of your function calls, and you would see like what happens with their function shield, if the policy, what's enabled, what's vulnerable, or what's having an error, what's their outbound connectivity. And basically, that's it. Keep it short and simple. Thank you. Any questions?